Um, the United States Environmental Protection Agency, have a tribal trust responsibility, and we currently don't have long-term effective sanitation options for some of the communities in Alaska. And so looking for things that might work for those folks. And I found Embry, and Alex found us, and the EPA project is currently a little bit stalled, but good work is going on in Whitehorse with the rest of the team, who is not EPA. So that's very exciting. Alex, you want to introduce yourself, and then we can pass it over to Nate?
Yeah, for me, it's all about manure. I am here because I want to understand how these systems function. Small systems could function, and in a cold place, how to weatherize, how to gather data, all that sort of stuff. That's it. I'm with the Vermont Agency of Agriculture.
Nate,
Hello
want to
there.
introduce yourself?
So I'm Nate Janiga. I'm sitting in the Seattle office for Carollo Engineers. I'm a wastewater engineer. Um, I got pulled into this because I've been a volunteer for many years with the Mount Everest Biogas Project, which is is a plan to build a biogas digester to treat human waste coming from climbers on Mount Everest in Nepal and very high altitude, very cold conditions. We had a basis of design and we never got $300,000 to go build it. So it's been, and then the pandemic happened, so it's been stalled. And if there's any hope for that project, it's through the pilots that the cold high altitude digester consortium here is doing. So yeah, I'm really interested in rural sanitation and low energy, low cost, off the shelf solutions. So here we are. Should I pick somebody?
Yeah, go
Yeah.
for it. Yeah.
About Embry, she's oh, it's a good one. Maybe in the chat if you have to.
Embry Bronstead, engineer and project manager for the Seattle office of Brown and Caldwell, and waste to resource evangelist.
Okay. Knosho.
Hi there. Uh, Eric Knashaug from from National Laboratory of the Rockies. Hi, everybody. Yeah, I guess let's see. My background is molecular biology, microbiology, fermentation science. Recently got into arrested anaerobic digestion, actually, and a little bit of anaerobic digestion. I primarily work with algae, so both micro and macro. We've got projects looking at arrested anaerobic digestion of both sargassum, which is not cold or high, and wastewater grown microalgae. And I guess I got hooked up with this group because I had a small project run by Anelia, the Waste to Energy Technical Assistance Program out of the DOE with some fish processors. And so we were starting to take a look at AD from some Alaska fish waste. So happy to be here again. So thank you.
I'd love to hear a little update on that. That does tie into how we also located Merrick Johnston, who we're going to hear from later when she's finished eating dinner, I think. Kelsey Shaw, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name's Kelsey. I am currently finishing my PhD. I'm based in Victoria, BC, Canada, but I have a research partnership also with AAVOG, the Swiss Federal Institute for Aquatic Science and Technology. And my research is on anaerobic degradation in non-sewered sanitation systems, so septic tanks, holding tanks, stuff like that. Engineering background, but I do mostly molecular microbiology now. And I linked up with Embry in Switzerland randomly, and that's how I kind of got pulled into all of this.
I bet it wasn't random. I bet Embry was being very strategic there. Stella?
Hi everyone. I'm Stella. I'm the graduate student working with Dr. Jane Fowler, which a lot of you know. That's how I got introduced to this group. I primarily study microbiology. I don't have any engineering background, which is why I love working with this group because I get to learn and be confused and do some research of what you guys are talking about. It's cool. And I'll be looking into characterizing the psychrophilic microorganisms in these digesters and seeing what's going on with the little creatures. Yeah.
So helpful. I love it. Who else we got? Oh, okay. Looks like Guy Roberts is back. That's good. That's a good sign. Want to give a quick intro of yourself? We've just been going around. Trying to find the mute button, looks like. You could be like Embry and just type it in the chat if you want.
There we go.
There we go.
Thank you. Yep. I don't use Zoom very much, mostly Teams, so I'll get the hang of it. My PhD is in parasitology, not anaerobic digestion. Haven't done anything with that in quite a while, but currently working as a facilities director for the College of Ag and Life Sciences at University of Vermont. Formerly the chief scientific officer of a small startup company building and designing and building anaerobic digesters for small farms.
Great. So I think that's it, except for Merrick. And before we get to Merrick, it looks like we should do, does anyone have any announcements or upcoming events they'd like to tell us about? If Embry could talk, she'd probably remind us of the Thursday morning design meetings for the White Horse digester, which apparently are like a basketball hoop, or maybe a crane. I'm not sure about that. Okay, we can also, tomorrow, it's tomorrow. We can also get announcements any other time. What?
So yeah, I guess we're on announcements or on updates. Announcements or updates?
We were on announcements.
Okay,
now
yep.
we're moving to updates. Let's go for updates.
I would love to hear, I guess, Embry, I don't know, maybe you want to type something in, Embry. I'm not sure you want to try to talk, but that was fun seeing you shout. About, not from our last meeting, but just the NATO project or Stella, whoever wants to.
I was gonna say Stella. We can hear Stella.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, of course. So I have, I guess, four main updates. So first, the subcontract with BBG is underway. Jane is working really, really hard with the procurement and legal team at SFU. We're hoping to get this wrapped up within a month, so around mid-June. Fingers crossed. Hopefully, nothing goes wrong. The goal for travels for us to go and construct and start up the digester. We want to procure all of the required equipment and instrumentations and parts prior to making travel plans so that we don't end up going and not having anything to work with. And we were looking into like staggering the travels of like who goes at what time so we can be there in different shifts to kind of monitor the digester. Um, and then there were talks from the team at Columbia that they want to construct like a parallel digester in Columbia prior to going to Whitehorse so that they can kind of go through the technical issues and streamline the process of constructing and starting up in Yukon. And then currently the biggest thing that we're looking into is just weighing the cost of, yeah, digesters. It'll be really cute. Weighing the cost of testing samples of digesters, sludge, and digestate parameters on site versus sending them over to the Fowler lab, kind of like what Kelsey mentioned in our last design meeting, where we want to weigh like cost benefits. And yeah, we're trying to see what instrumentations and what equipments fit the budget. So I'll be sending a lot of emails out to everyone and bugging you guys a lot about what do you guys think about specific instruments. Yeah. Is there any questions that you guys have about the NATO project? That's all the updates I have.
That's great. It's moving. We're delighted.
Yeah, I'm happy to.
Yeah.
For
Oh,
those of
Alex is screen
you,
sharing.
yeah, for those of you not, where am I on or off? Can you hear me?
You're on. I can hear you.
Okay, just for those of you who aren't familiar, the prototype or the current design idea is a 160-gallon tank with these dimensions. 160, yeah, something like that. And those penetrations and considerable discussion about the instrumentation. But there it is, just the concept, so that people know, just as reference. Yes, we're also putting and Stella then put something in the chat.
Oh
Just
yeah.
replying to Emily's comment.
Yeah, sorry. It was we are starting to procure, like we're starting to look into like adding vendors and stuff, and we're gonna get everything done through SFU first, just so we can start the process.
Great.
So exciting. All right. Well, we can always have more updates and announcements and suggestions. We welcome them at any time. But I think now we're gonna segue in to hearing from Merrick Johnson, who I thought was in Alaska, but turns out is not. Very exciting.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in Norway, in northern Norway, in Tromsø right now. I've been in Norway for 16 years, but moving to Alaska this summer.
Ah,
That's
okay.
where I'm born. Yeah, or where all my family is too. And here, let me just share. Someone else is sharing. Send request. Um,
Alex, you might have to pull
I
that
think
down.
only one can share at a time.
There we go.
Okay, let me try again. I made a little presentation, and I can share it afterwards. I'm not sure, did the data that Excel sheet I made for this group get circulated?
No, I admit I
Because
looked for
I stripped a bunch, I made a data set. But that's what I'll be sharing. And then you guys can look at it
maybe it
after.
went into a strange folder for me or something. Let me take a look. But yeah, keep going. Don't let that slow you down.
All right. So let me put this in sharing mode.
Yeah, I'm not seeing that.
Are you sharing? I mean, you see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay, you don't see the data? I think I sent it. Maybe I just sent it to you, Alex.
Perfect. That would make sense.
I think I accidentally did just send it to Alex.
No, well, anyhow, yes. What would you like me to do? Oh, and there's a question for you there. We could post this to the IRPIC site. It would be nice to, I think, and if that's
Well,
okay,
yeah, I just
then you
maybe
could.
just start with this group to see.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I didn't use that much time, and I think now even just putting this presentation together, there might be I could update it a bit so it's not quite as anonymous. Because now it's a little bit different, difficult to understand the difference between the sludge samples. Um, so here's just some samples I was going to share with the group. And they were the basis of, so I've worked in waste management for private and public um, the last, not too long, since 2019. So not, and so how it works in Norway, you're not allowed to landfill organics in since 2009, and that's similar in a lot of European countries. And so you have to do something like composting with organics. And in the north, because composting is the cheapest, they then added a new rule that composting has to happen indoors, and that's not going to happen in the north. It's the infrastructure, and I mean, and so because of these rules, there was all these dispensations for a long time, but finally the national jurisdiction was like, okay, Northern Norway, you need to do something else, do something. You can't. So this is the first time that this is just an image showing all the municipal waste management companies. So it's the first time they've collaborated in such a large project, and it's to make a biogas park. And so I worked a couple years as a business developer for that, and then segued into the main partner that I created through that company, which is fish waste, because that's what I'm most interested in is yeah, how to is I guess I don't like to say fish waste, but like in Norwegian restrostoff, like how to better utilize everything in fishing industry. And so this map shows you where all the biogas plants are in Norway as of today. As you see, none are really in the north. And it's the same picture in Sweden and Finland as well. Well, that's not quite true. So in my new job, I would actually drive to all the biogas plants that are located in the north. Um, and really where all the biogas plants are, because all the subsidies that were with it, it's in Denmark, and all the agriculture that happens there. But in Norway, the main thing for a lot of these plants is municipal waste, sewage, but they're for normal AD, a lot of them are accepting some silage and fish sludge. They make sure to keep the amount at least 20%, under 20%. And it's after it's been running a few years. But almost every biogas plant that I've visited in Norway, they're all accepting some. That just to give you a little background. And if you look at the bottom map, these are all little red dots represent either hatcheries, so fish farms, and slakteri, and oh my gosh, it's been a long day. Like where you kill the fish and cut it up. But how it is in Norway, especially in the north, because the most expensive is labor. So everything's pretty well automated, and they send out most of the fish, really. So all the byproducts are actually being processed elsewhere. But there's making some rules saying that you have to process in Norway. I think that's mainly what I wanted to say about this, just to give you a little background. Um, and for the amount of fish, I'm always in metric tons, but like for farmed salmon, it's about 1.2 million tons. So that's the same as when Alaska has the largest pollock seasons. Um, so I mean, it's a lot of fish, but that's just farm fish. Their farm fish is the equal of all their wild stocks, and their main wild stock is cod. And Tromsø, the city I'm in, actually is the largest exporter of all fish in Norway, which a lot of people don't know, but that's because it's all being exported frozen. So in this project, I worked a lot with figuring out partners, mainly business partners, of trying to get mapping as much of the organic waste that we could have in our park. And this is before, and now the project, we've gone through procurement and development stage, and it's evolved quite a bit because, like most big projects, they take a lot longer than the original thought. But it actually is going in it's a really interesting direction right now, which is heading, and it has more fish waste in it than it was in the beginning. But for the most part, because the industrial the people that own it, the biogas park, they are the municipal waste management. So they that's the main feedstock is what they control, and that's because you're not allowed to, everyone sorts here. You sort out your household organics. So that's what that source separated household organics is. That's just um, that's what that is. But then here to explain a little bit about um, Norway and for how it works for biogas. Um, the licenses for growing the amount of fish farming is only dependent really on the amount of fish lice. So it doesn't really have, you have environmental reporting, but for the actual growth, if you want to have an area and have bigger pins and everything, it all depends on how much fish lice there is. And so, and it's a traffic light system. So if it's an area with a green light, it means that that area can grow. Yellow can't, red, they need to decrease. And not because they're better humans in the north, but because there's better flow in a lot of the water, in the colder water, there's been less lice. And so a lot of the expansion that's happening, it's really happening hard in northern Norway. And um, so there's a few companies that go around and pick up fish waste. So um, hatcheries that have RAS recirculating aquaculture systems, they have to collect their fish sludge, the fish poop, um, and all onshore activity, you have to collect your fish poop. And all fish that have had, like if there's an algal bloom that happens and um, kills a lot of fish, so anything that like diseased fish or have a lot of lice, they're called category 2 fish. And all they have to be killed within 24 hours and collected by this a company that goes around and collects them. And if it's a category 2 fish, it can't go towards human consumption or even into animal feed unless very specific. So this is the feedstock that goes to biogas because it's not allowed really to go anywhere else. And this is a private company, and I worked as their sales manager in northern Norway, and that's how I went to all the different biogas parks in Scandinavia. So it just shows you this is so there's an annual well, it's supposed to be annual, and it almost is annual report that comes out that explains all the available feedstock, how much is being used, where it's going, and how um, the rules may be changing in the next year. Like I was saying, how some category 2 fish can go towards certain feed, like it can go towards pig, but fish can't go back to fish, especially if it's a diseased fish. So and this is an old one. I was thinking I was going to update for this, but I didn't put that much time. Um, but it's easy to get this data. There's actually, if you're a foreigner, you don't realize, but there's actually all this data is really nicely organized on this website called Barents Watch, and it shows how much of this category 2 fish goes to biogas, and how much is and how much like fish poop, for example, should be collected and isn't being collected. And they have a lot of interesting data on the on that website, and it takes all these reports, or it takes the same data, not these reports, but this just shows that around 100,000 tons of this category 2 fish went towards biogas in 2021. So it's a much larger amount than it was in 2012, just showing how it's growing. And then as I was saying with this Roe Biopark, this is the biogas park that's being built here in the north. Um, it's there was no local option. Like you need to have something in place that's closer, especially for household organic waste. So that's why it's being built, but really why how it's being able to finance itself is because there's a lot of businesses that also now are getting pushed that they have to do something. Um, and this just shows, so I've been to a lot of hatcheries. So this is a picture I take, this is sample, I think I said sample D in this spreadsheet I prepared for the group. This is fish poop. This is fish sludge from a hatchery. So this is what it looks like. And this one I think is usually this one's about I think 30% TS. Like so yeah, between around 25% dry matter. Um and then that's just me taking a spoonful of it. Um And then here is just to kind of show like a lot of biogas parks, you never have the same um ingredients. Your feedstock is going to vary throughout the year, so you need to kind of have a robust bioculture, or be careful on how you're feeding your feedstock. Or and temperatures, of course, too. But just on showing, this is that fish sludge, and just kind of shows you how the amount kind of changes through the year because it depends on the growth rate of the fish, where they are in the process, from the fry or on in the hatchery, and when they release them and start over again. And then for most, biogas plants, the big thing is, shit in, shit out. If you don't, do a proper pre-treatment, or like have an actual idea of what you're doing afterwards, you can't, a big, you need to know what you're gonna do with the digestate. Um, because it needs to be, if you're doing paralysis, that's a huge amount of energy, or the easiest thing is always making some type of fertilizer. Uh, but you have to make sure that you don't have too high of metals and you're within regulation. So this just shows one of the hatcheries. I took samples in different parts of the sludge, after filtration, before the decanter, and then after it was dried, just to see how high the metals were and where in the system. Because we still can collect feedstock from everywhere, but maybe not all of it. Maybe some needs to go to a waste energy plant, like you kind of have to you have to realize what you're putting in there and what comes out. So this is, let's see if I get this video to work. This I find really uh I mean, this looks like junk. I didn't find the slide I wanted to show. Um, but this is a category 2 plant, so they only deal with dead and diseased uh um input, and they have a tricanter, and the oil, gets used as biodiesel. Uh, and then you have a protein, um, and then you have what I would call the bottom of the tricanter, the grox, which is what this is. And they don't really have any buyers for that. And then they also have this, what I call this rotosieve sample, because before, when you put all the feedstock in, there's like this sill, this culinary sill that just removes bones and everything. Because, um, and all this stuff is just going to an incinerator. And it actually, if we look now I'll share the uh, because I didn't write. Yeah. Now I'll just go to the data sheet that I was going to share with everyone. Stop share.
I have those spreadsheets open if you need them.
Oh,
Are you talking about the spreadsheets?
Yeah, I can just share from mine, so then I can use my arrow. Is there any questions? I mean, right now I'm not really going into anything really technical. It's just more background. Um, Sunny. Okay.
I have a quick question, if you have time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, by the way, I'm Judith. It was about the digestate numbers. It looked, but probably it's because it's from different influence or something, influence, that the lead and the one after it were lowering in the dried samples. So I'm assuming it's not the process that made those values go lower, right? It must have been that the influent.
Yeah,
That's
correct.
Okay. Thanks.
I guess along those same lines, on that slide, it looked like they could only make whatever it was, class 2, because their zinc was too high. So
exactly.
they were bumped into a different class because of that one metal.
Well, and what's really interesting too, so on other samples, because now there's a bunch of like semi-closed pins where they have to collect fish sludge. So, because before you have these, so this is now we're talking about not hatcheries, but actually out in the ocean, and they have to collect the fish sludge from these semi-closed pins. They have like this, there's different forms of them. But they put like cadmium, like different types of metals on the pin. It was as a way that other fish would be able to see it, and not run into them. And then what that is doing, there's now been a change. I think it was the law changed in 2024. I mean, it was quite recent. But then you have these, because there's another place that has a lot of organic waste is these companies that wash all these nets, and the metals are just crazy high because what they impregnate these nets in to so it's like it's tons of organic composition, but then there's really high metal rates, in this because of what they're impregnating the pins with. So, then
Pigments?
so it's like having to find where the processes, what should go to waste, what should go to an incinerator plant, what should go to biogas, but it's like not If you want to save money or you want, you want to not do a lot of transportation and you'd like to do one-stop shop. But
Sorry, Merrick, I must have missed something. They impregnate metals into the nets for the fish.
yeah,
Why? In the
um,
net itself, or is it dumped in the fish?
it's on the net itself. It's like this outer shell. Uh,
Oh, is it to make it stronger or something?
no,
Like pigment to colorize it or something?
it's to colorize it.
Wow.
Why do you
Uh,
need to polarize the net?
so other fish don't run into it. It scares off seals. I don't know. There's just been
Okay. And
uh
there's no way to do that without heavy metals.
well, there is. So that's changed in 2024.
Okay, okay, cool. Thank you.
But it's like, but you still have these nets out there and it's just like um yeah, and it's reflected all through all the samples. Um but we're just humans. Uh So the samples I was going to share is the so sample A, B, and C. That's from this that one of those category two plants I was showed that video of. I know I will find. I've made I can add it in there to kind of show you what the tricanter is and say the temperatures and stuff. But so you have your protein, and then you have kind of your more solid protein with bigger that doesn't go through that's at the bottom of the tricanter, and then you have your oil on the top. But then this rotasive solids, as I said, so that sample C, that's just stuff that doesn't even make it to the tricanter, because they just do like a simple um um oh, my English is really like a sill, they're just trying to get rid of bones and plastics because not everyone's really good at like taking off their plastic gloves, they're just trying to get rid of the big stuff. But it actually is this huge amount. I mean, you're talking 10,000 tons for just one plant. So it's quite large, and there's other plants, and this uh this fraction is not being used today for the most part. And if we look at the samples, like, wow, it's actually, pretty good. And then the sample D, E, and F are just different types of fish sludge. Um, so, which is interesting. So the fish sludge of sample D is from a Ross hatchery. Um, and that's here in northern Norway. And then this Nofi one is from a semi-offshore, so it's an offshore, uh, these semi-closed I was telling you about. So it's not a hatchery, it's not an on land. And then the sample F is also just another RAS hatchery. Um, and like that sample C, I can freeze it so you know which ones are which. Um, hey, oops, sorry. Oh, it's underneath the WhatsApp thing. Okay, whatever. It's gonna just freeze it, but I don't want to use time. Um, so just like the note here, it's pretty interesting. The fraction that's not used at all for biogas, pretty much. Well, Pelagia, they use it in Denmark. It actually had the highest methane yield. And then the semi-closed, so this is a pin that's, in the ocean. It didn't even, there was high ash metals and everything. And, it could be what I was talking about because that was before the law. So the pins, now that I've been to these cleaning areas, I'm wondering if it was if that was the issue, but it wasn't, it didn't even work. And then the other um, RAS sample, they were pretty close. I mean, well, yeah. So one has dries longer than the other one, as we'll see. Um, and um, these are just some notes. You know, it was done, it's 27 days, done at 37 degrees, and it was all conducted at the same laboratory in Germany that we send all the samples to. Um, and this is the protein sample. You guys will get this, so I'm not sure how. Uh, but the rotasive, I thought this was very interesting that it had such a good response, and it's like a mix of bones and everything, and it's not even being utilized. Um, so you guys, because I'm sure this kind of stuff is nicer to kind of flip through yourself, but I'll go to the last one that I put together. Uh, so here's then showing a little bit about each of the sample. So you can kind of compare to your own databases. And I would love, it would be really cool. What I actually, when I was putting this together, I thought it'd be really fun within this group if we could add to it, kind of make our own Chad data set, um, and have it more as a working document, um, not as a one and done. That's, um, And then, when there's more interest or going further, I can add more samples to it and actually get more people involved that I know have worked a lot with it for more technical answers. Yeah, Alex?
Um, Nate had a problem with inhibition in the Mount Everest project with antibiotics. Is that
Yeah.
possible?
Yeah, I mean, are you I've well, I mean, that's what, we could say for the semi-close. I'm not quite sure if that's the same situation. Are you saying is that possible for that one sample
Well,
or
yeah,
just in
or is
general?
there antibiotics used in this process that would come into the feedstock for the digester? Like,
Well, I mean, right now these are lab samples I'm showing, so they're done individually. But I have also, a lot of data from biogas parks that are running too. But these are individually. But for antibiotics wouldn't be an issue for hatcheries. Um,
okay,
uh, um, I mean, for antibiotics, I'd say that's more for your wastewater treatment plant almost that we humans have more that issue than and then also for the manure, it wasn't a problem here, but it's like, um, on those samples. But I don't know if that's in all of Norway. I can't answer for
right.
everyone, but I don't think but I mean antibiotics are used in the fish farming, but they're actually pretty dang strict. They have been I think since two so the fish farm it was like a super profit. It had like its heydays in 2000 and um 14, 15, yeah, 12, 13, 14, 15, around that time. And right after that, there were a lot of rules that came, and with antibiotics and everything. So I think it's really something from like 2015 I don't think it's really an issue. That was kind of a long, but it's pretty restricted now. Um, Yeah. So then, you guys can look into this, and it would be really interesting to have other samples next to it. And here's for trace metals and minerals, um, which is, important for inhibition and for digestate. Um, Um, I was thinking of adding on to this spreadsheet, but I think it's good enough from this. But maybe if I share the presentation, I was just going to show like a little like diagram of each of these samples where they're taken, so it's a better understanding of actually what they represent. Um, because I felt like I maybe didn't explain very well the rotative, because I just gave them these names. Um, but it's really like the fish bones, it's a 3 millimeter sill. So it's everything that's bigger than 3 millimeters that come from silage from diseased fish. And that includes plastic gloves. Um, and then, FPC is pretty common, for in the fish world, fish protein concentrate. Uh, and then, yeah, no fee. I didn't, because I can't quite say, I wasn't supposed to give away the samples per se. I had to uh, I wasn't supposed to say exactly where they're coming from, who's the owners. Um, so I didn't quite know how to name them, anyways. Because Nofi is a research. They're not the ones who run that fish. This is a semi-closed, and then this one fish sludge and the NRS. Those are both the hatcheries. Um, yeah. So it just kind of put it into the data into uh, just a spreadsheet that's easy to, navigate for most people. And it'd be interesting, and I'd love for people to get their hands on it and then maybe add to it, and then we could go from there, and I could add to it as well. Are there any questions? This is all I've prepared for the group so far.
That's awesome. Thank you.
So I'll jump in with a question, or a couple things. One, we came up with a list in the NATO for the project in Whitehorse of things to test for. Some of them are things that you also tested for. I suspect it's not as simple as just adding stuff in, because sometimes how you're testing matters. So you might not be able to really truly compare, but I agree with you. And we will, I assume, have that data starting at the end of the summer of whatever it is we decided that we would really measure for. So Stella, you can follow up with each other or whatever. The other thing is, so a while ago we talked about this project in these northern villages of Alaska and Arctic where there could be fish waste, not necessarily even from big processing, although that's sort of a one, it's certainly, as far as I know, not from fish farming in the Norwegian way. But people do hunt, they fish, and so that could be part of the waste stream, right? In addition to human sanitary waste. And I wondered if there were any thoughts you had about avoiding problems in those situations, or
Well, I mean, the rule of thumb is not to, because of the high nitrogen, is don't have more, keep it under 20% if you want to be safe, 15% by weight fraction of fish waste. But if you have chicken poop though too, that's really high nitrogen. So I guess it depends. I bet but I mean in Northwest Alaska you're not having chicken poop. But but this so that's for just normal 80s that are having where their bulk is like sewage, but they have a lot of household organics. But in all the municipals here, which a lot of the US won't be having. Um, and so there's a lot of starches and carbohydrates in human food. So it's a little hard to say, but that's the rule of thumb here that these municipal biogas is like not over 20% by weight on the high nitrogen fractions. And
And
and and and in the starting phase, you don't want to introduce the first 6 months. And then, as I worked on sales on the other side, so like it always depends when you have to be careful when you do your samples. There's a big difference aren't, if you have like an open system or if you're not freezing the samples before you do your production tests, uh, you'll get totally different. So because people will say depending how, if they're getting paid or not getting paid for their feedstock, it really you can really play the game of how you run your samples at the lab, in terms of when you collect it, how fresh is it? You're really changing after 5 days. Um, but yeah.
So
Um,
on that note, I want to um, see what we can learn. And you're from Alaska, so like what these native villages are like, or maybe you
mhm.
don't know. But anyhow, there's
Yeah.
sanitary systems, and it's all across, of course, those remote cold communities, Iceland, Greenland. Judith does a lot of this work on what do the communities look like, and so you did this kind of community organizing kind of stuff, I guess, for these bioparks. What what observations would you have about that would maybe also apply to Alaska, or was it just not that remote?
Well, I mean, like, moderation never kills. So, the best, depending if things are all spread out, why gather it and make a community, depending on which village, which group you're talking about. Like Kotzebue is located in the weirdest spot. You're on a lagoon and you have like, somewhere like there, you have to have something. It's because where they force people to make the city, because you have a concentrated amount of septic. Uh,
Hmm.
but I mean, some of the other projects, I don't know. It's like, a honey bucket, really, do you want to have a sewage system when it's going to freeze and all of, I'm just, Alaska's a big, big place and each village is different. But I mean, I guess if you're talking about Bethel, Kotzebue, these areas that are large and are confined, geographically, I don't think I don't think they'd be tricky to have a buy-in to get something, if that's your question. But I think sometimes some of these projects don't really, I think it's nice when things have like cascade design in them, uh, where uh, you're keeping it makes sense to have it there. Some of the projects seem a little standalone and maybe not. I don't know. It's hard. It's each place is different. But I definitely do think, the first step is getting maybe not biogas, but maybe not waste energy that doesn't have all the bells and whistles just to deal with all the marine debris. Uh, and then yeah, if we're talking about the waste management as a whole. And then for biogas, I mean they are doing some stuff a little bit, uh off of AWU. I mean there's a few biogas plants going in Alaska.
Yeah, I'm not thinking about marine debris waste like plastics. Is that what you mean? And crap
Well,
like
I'm
that?
thinking for the villages, though. I mean, if you just look at the federal funding that finally came in from, yeah, I'm just looking at tonnage and what's actually uh, out happening in Alaska for the amount of waste. The last typhoon brought in, marine debris 10 kilometers in, and there's no local processing. There's no real incinerator plant or anything.
Yeah, I think, this is a good question for Margaret and everybody in this group who's been here longer.
Sunny, can
What
you
you could say, oh, what is our target market? If you want to
yeah.
put it in business terms. So what is it? What are we trying to do? Get away from get away from honey buckets in communities of X size or what? Like that's I think for this
Yeah, I
group, a
don't know
really
the
good
target. I mean,
question.
just hmm.
I mean, I can speak to that because I feel like different folks might have different targets. EPA, we have a responsibility to all the communities. So we can't say that we're only doing a certain size really, but we are trying to figure out what technologies might work at different sizes. So like we've in previous meetings we've discussed having Bethel as the next if the more supported digesters like the one at the National Lab of the Rockies turns out to work in the way we're thinking it might, then having a pilot in Bethel, which is a larger community with still more support possibilities, and then take it to a smaller community. And part of the issue is that at the moment, a lot of the smaller communities do combine the plastics and the poo, and
Yeah.
those create problems both for wastewater treatment lagoons and for landfills. Those waste streams don't really help each other achieve
No.
anything useful. Although I have heard that in Norway, the waste plants get to a high enough temperature that some of those problems may be taken care of, but I don't think that we're ever going to have anything in any of the Alaska Native villages at that kind of temperature level. So keeping
I
the
mean,
two separate.
yeah. It's interesting. I'm like being back there, like now working in waste management here, what what gets that temperature is the cement plants. It's crazy the amount of cement that, Halliburton, these that we've used in Alaska and don't even have our own cement plant locally in Alaska. If you want to,
That is
I'll get
different.
rid of hazardous waste. I mean, that's the uh those get high temperature.
I have inspected a few cement plants that were not functioning well as a water quality inspector, but
Yeah.
in
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess, I mean, I'm on the
best
waste management
management
side. We're like,
practice,
send it here, we'll send it there, like,
best management practice, they should be operating better.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a totally different thread. I wonder if there's some folks in Alaska we could talk to about, but it still wouldn't help in the villages. We're not going to be making cement in the villages at that scale either. So that'd be more of an Anchorage thing, I guess.
But I think Bethel's a really good place to start for wastewater treatment but also what's going on with the project, um,
Thanks.
not Dillingham,
Fairbanks?
what? Not in Fairbanks.
Fairbanks?
No,
Not in Fairbanks.
with Trident and,
Oh yeah, Eric.
um, with Eric,
Do you know Eric?
yeah, yeah. Um,
He
I
just went
met
off
them.
camera. Maybe he took a phone call. Drat. Just
Yeah,
when
and
we
Rail there. Yeah, because
there he is. There he is.
I'm
I'm
just
here.
wondering how those two projects if they've like come together at all with the because it seems like that's like an obvious spot to have some type of organic solution.
Were you talking about the AD we did on the fish processing waste from up there?
Yeah, but
Yes.
also like because they also did the landfill uh project the same time. And like, why couldn't you combine the fish waste with the landfill because they have the wastewater treatment and then they have the space behind because that's the whole issue there. There's so little, it's like cliffs. There's so little land. Uh, I just don't, yeah, I don't understand why those two projects aren't like in parallel. Because
Yeah.
like here they have normal AD where you can like pump in high nitrogen fractions if you have other fractions going in.
Yeah, that's a very good question. They
A
sh
lot cheaper than
should have
corral.
been probably because that's exactly what we found out, right? Well, I mean, we already know that, right? Fish waste it's very high nitrogen and sometimes doesn't digest very well by itself. So that was kind of what we looked at and blending in. We had food waste actually down here because we have some other projects on food waste. So we blended some of that in and it worked much better. But yeah, I guess I was not aware that there was a landfill
Yeah, I think
project and
geotrack
or
was,
possibility, but
yeah, because I
that's
mean,
certainly the path forward for
yeah,
sure.
it'd be
Sounds
cool
like
to
I
see
need a
those.
site visit.
Yeah, it'd be cool to see those two because there's no place to build a facility on either of those.
Mm,
But there is at the landfill, which isn't far away. So just having a holding tank, and
yeah,
then yeah, and just kind of combine forces seems
yeah,
like that would be a hmm.
yeah. No, that's definitely the path forward.
I could give you if you yeah send me an email because I'm like slow in the head right now, but I could
Sure.
put you in contact who did the technical part of that project.
Okay. Yeah, we'll do.
I think she works for GeoTrek or Geo. I'll find it. You send in, I'll look it up.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah. So that was and then you guys can just look at this data set and then just, I guess, send messages. But is there on this group, is there like a Google Drive or some type of way to make this like more of a living document?
So we do have a sort of a feature in the IARPIC site, and it is limited to people who have set up an IARPIC account. So there's a little bit of friction there. It's not going to show up in search engine results, I don't believe.
But I think that's great.
The IARPIC drive is also others who have tried it can have their own opinions. I find it very unintuitive. So it hasn't become quite the digital home that we had hoped for. You know, continuous improvement. Maybe they've resolved some of the issues. I haven't tried it in the last couple months, but it exists, and it is a place that anyone who sets up an IARPIC account can
Could you maybe
access.
send an email to everyone on how to set up an account? I mean, like, is it good enough to just have a shared Excel sheet?
It's just like you're saying, it's a kind of like a
Or
Google Drive. It's a shared
yeah,
drive. So
yeah.
yeah, we can send a reminder email for how to use the IARPIC site. That's
Yeah.
probably
Yeah, because
well
I didn't
timed.
get it. Because I could upload this Excel sheet on there and it could be like a test.
Right.
Oh, that would be good. And then it will make me do it and then uh because then if there is interest and if there is some way to keep it I of like sharing, that's how I'd love to do something between Norway and Alaska and have like case studies that are a little bit more um similar. I just working a bit in waste management, the case studies were just very, we were using Florida, and that's just not that similar to Alaska in a lot of reasons. Uh,
Huh.
uh, not saying Norway is totally the same, but like temperature, there is a lot of similarities. And for actually, and also the amount of people and for getting investment, like you don't have to have something unique. You can go off the shelf and just have it some type of module or ability to build out, start small and then mm. But yeah. Okay. I'll do that. And then I'll upload this file, this Excel sheet and that half presentation And maybe I'll find a little bit more to explain a little bit more about the samples before I upload it.
Yeah, you were earlier what you were saying, Margaret. I know the wheels were just spinning in her head because you were just singing our song. Did you know that? You were singing our song. Start small, module. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Um, Bellingham project. What's going on? I didn't know about a Bellingham project. Amber just put something in the chat. I used to live in Bellingham, and we were looking for some equipment from Bellingham, possibly like a custom made vessel. Anyhow, uh, yeah, welcome. I love that you're going to put stuff up um, there. And I had a question, like when you're traveling all around Norway and Alaska, did you see any like clever ways of handling this mix of human sanitary waste and food waste that you could mention or share with us? I mean, Norway's not a place we've talked about much in this group. So, yeah.
I mean, they're just well, I mean, I like the in Tønsberg, the Magiska Fabriken they call it. You know, it's all about marketing, which means the magic factory. They have a tomato production on the digestate, and so their main feedstock is um, human waste and household is and the tomatoes are amazing. Like, um, I mean, I'd say that's like I like when factories, even yeah, it's shit in, shit out, but it's like as long as you're sorting and you know your volumes and your fractions, like it's when you keep it clean, um, when you respect the poop, it seems like those because they're not doing anything that special, but it's like the biogas plants that are working well are the ones that are yeah, they're well managed, you
So I
know.
think that comes back to how do you involve the community? How much money do you want to spend on stemming contamination, right? Because like, what do they do? People who have a not contaminated load get an extra tomato. I mean, I'm sort of joking, but right,
Yeah.
what's the community
Yeah.
connection there that results in a non-contaminated waste stream? What do people get out of it? What's the buy-in? All those social factors that I think are really
Well,
important in any kind of composting or anaerobic digestion. And by the way, before I quit talking, Merrick, there's some things in the chat for you.
oh shoot, I haven't even let me stop sharing.
But
There.
anyhow, what were you going to say?
I was just gonna say that at least I mean my experience is only from 2019. I worked in oil and gas before that. But what I've found with the projects I've been involved with, you build your feedstock off of commercial, cleaner, and then, you're contaminated, your feel good is all it piggybacks onto. So, you need to have not your cash cow, but you need to have your clean and stable. And that you still can have in all these small towns, being it you just have to kind of identify what it could be. Um,
But some kind of food processing waste. I mean, that's what we call it a food processing residual here, something that's gone
yeah.
through a process. That's our waste
Anything that's gone through a
terminology.
processor. Yeah, exactly. Because then it's gone through some type of uh cleaning or a process, it's a cleaner fraction than your residential. So I think that seems to be what really carries most project
And
or
do you have a link for that project in Norway that you were talking about, or just a
oh
name that you could drop in the chat
oh yeah,
that we could
I'll
look it up?
put it up there. They because there's not that many people that like employees, and I mean they handle
And
a
how big
lot.
of a town is this?
Well, this is an Tønsberg is pretty big. Um, let me well it's not I mean it's less than this I think its whole municipality is like 100,000, so it's not that big. Uh, I can look it up. Here's the link. Um, Yeah, it'd kind of be hard.
Hinsberg, Westford County.
And then this is the area I would love to do a case study. Um, because it's very similar to what I think should be in Anchorage. So it's going to have the biogas park and it's going to have the incinerator. So then you can work with, on the train belt there. And they're both right next to each other. So it makes utilizing the waste streams more effective. This is not that big of a town either.
55,000.
Yeah, that's Tunsberg. So I'm gonna do the one of Insenia. So they're expanding their incinerator, and this is the new area where the biopark's gonna be. So then you can have boat access as well, because boat is a lot, as long as the port is deep, it's a lot cheaper for transport. Um,
So, and this is compressed, they're making compressed natural gas or liquid natural gas. I can't tell. In the
I think
Magic
for Denmark, I think
facility.
they're compressed. So this town and Trondheim, they make compressed, and the local buses go on compressed.
Mm-hmm.
So then they have a buyer already, like kind of their supplier and buyer is municipality. But the one I just showed you, they're expanding, going more and more private. Um, The one in Trondheim, it's 55 municipalities that are within it. Um, but let me find the Senya one real quick. Um, uh, um, oh, they haven't updated on the website. I'll do that later. But well, I can get the development plan too. But I think that something like that would be really cool in Alaska, where you actually have the two factories right next to each other. So then you can get all the fractions, and then you have a hot burn for things that, for contaminants is, so you're keeping your biogas, your organics cleaner, and you have something right next door that can handle um, and still make energy, waste energy. All you're doing is heating water, but sounds cool. But I can share that another time. But I think that because that's in northern Norway here. It's a small town. They've done it in a really smart way for getting the investment, and it's just like, and the numbers are similar. It's just like I think that would be an interesting case study to try to combine or look at.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. But yeah.
Do any of the Norway projects take advantage of the thermal radiation in the long days of the year? Because that's something that I think would also be similar between Alaska and.
Well, there's a lot, like with smart grids, of when uh, it's more for like Senja. So it's a fishing, town, and they have a lot of the fish processing. So it's more they take advantage of when they can have their freezers going.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
That's been yeah, okay. That'd be really cool to.
So depending on, yeah. So it's like figuring that out for the longer days this summer, like when can you do it, and when is it cold enough? How long can you have it going on full? And yeah.
That's so exciting. Is there any write-up about that freezer? And it can be in Norwegian, that's fine. About that freezer.
Yeah, Tromsø, there's been I mean, it's been an ongoing project about energy efficiencies, and yeah, and for the summer, and uh
We had a project
you
funded by the U.S. Department of Agriculture that was supposed to be an add-on to the project in Fairbanks, that because the project in Fairbanks got doged and the money's currently not flowing, that project can't happen either. But that freezer component really seemed like something that is so important in Alaska and also
Oh yeah,
not not something that
think
comes up so
about
much
it, and then the day and
in the
night,
lower
like
states.
so it's all about like it was optimizing freezer usage depending on the season and the sun, because we're 24-hour sun here. This is I'm at the same as Point Hope. So um quite a ways above the Arctic Circle.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Cool.
Uh
If you have
sure.
anything you would send about that, I think that
Uh
would be wonderful.
yeah, if you want to I'll put it in the chat, but I can look it up. Uh this is what you should just put in there'll be a lot of things if you put this in. Um
So I feel like everyone's feeling comfortable speaking up, which is great. I'm gonna have to go with the hour. I love to see engagement, and I'm so pleased that you and Eric are here because the meetings that the Alaska Department of Energy has been organizing about bio stuff is at a time I can't make anymore. So
yeah,
love it.
just put that.
Hey,
I'm also really happy about having you here. And also, before you leave, Margaret, or while we're wrapping up here, I kind of have to go too. I have a deadline I'm
Yeah.
doing today. But let's talk about next time. What came up that people want to talk about? For one thing, like Nate, I have never seen this basis of design, or have we? Have you talked about that project and like run through the basis of design in these, or yeah, I don't know. Everybody's saying stuff, but what else can we have for what are we going to do for next time? Should we call on somebody like Eric? Is that your name, Eric? No,
yeah. Yes.
I don't know. I mean, are you familiar with Andy Corrigan's work? Do you want to talk about any of that stuff? What should we do next time? I'm just going to shut up.
Yeah. Well, along those lines, I was looking at my calendar just now. I don't have any invites to any future meetings. For some reason, I only had these two. So I'm happy to I would like to keep coming. So happy to present. But somebody please invite me.
Apparently, no one told you about the initiation ritual.
All right. Right. And then Merrick, I
Let's do
had an
that.
email for you, but it bounced. So if you want to just email me, I can capture your email that way.
Yeah, sounds good. I'm just for the private. 'Cause,
Yeah, no worries. And but yeah, no, Alex, and everybody, happy to present on what we did with the fish. I have a final report into Anelia. I just need to wait for clearance from, the stakeholders on that, and then happy to walk through it. Um, uh, yeah, so
We could
sure.
just let's be in touch about that. I don't know what your work is at all, so I think
Yeah.
you just have to figure that out.
Sure. Happy to go through my other projects in the AAD space as well. Yeah, for sure.
Huh. Okay.
Let me just say,
Who
I don't
who
want to present on a design that I did in grad school in like 2012, but I think one of the critical flaws with that design was that we were going to go with seasonal operation, or sorry, continuous operation, and trying to keep a bunch of waste in like a frozen desert at the top of the world from freezing, and like the operator input, like we're just gonna have this auger, and like there's so many human elements that could fail with that system. Like if you have two operators and somebody's auntie gets sick and he has to go, and then someone else gets sick and they have to bail, like I just I like seasonal operation way better. And I think what we're doing with this group with these pilots is I want to end up redoing Mount Everest biogas projects
well,
design based on this work. So,
that's what your presentation would be.
oh my God. All the design flaws with my grad school design.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What you'd like
Redo
to
it.
do now?
Yeah.
Your new
Yeah.
design.
Let's talk about pyrolysis first.
Ah, no.
But I don't know, those things are important because you present what didn't work or all the
I
caveats with
mean,
those things. It's like we don't want to go down that same road potentially. So
yeah. I mean,
I see value there.
technically it's a thing, but the human element, I just see more and more like the human element of things really must not be neglected.
Yeah.
I my current struggle is trying to get the website for that project back online. And so anyway, it's a mercy to me that I have a little more time to do that since this group isn't presenting in Scotland in October, but it's still anyway.
What? We're
Yes.
not presenting in Scotland?
We
Oh,
weren't
why wasn't
accepted.
that
There were
part
a
of
lot
the
of folks.
announcements and updates? Jeez.
That's old news, boss.
Okay. Thanks for
Yeah.
letting us know.
All right. I'm gonna have to drop too. Hey, thank you so much, everyone. This is such a great group.
And next time, anybody from Norway is going to have to sing the national anthem
Actually,
of Norway.
happy 17th of May. It was just
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk.
Tuck. I know that word.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wonderful.
See y'all.
Great.
Bye.
And then you'll send
Bye.
an email, Margaret, and I'll do that as the first little thing.
Will do. Perfect.
Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Bye,
Thanks,
everyone.
everybody.